Hi, everybody. Before we get to another great interview, the Two Opinionated podcast could really use your help. And it's easy, it's free. IMDb, which is the entertainment database, imdb.com, named us a top 100 podcast. We came in at number 82. That's a big deal because there's 15 million podcasts and growing. So to be named to anybody's top 100 list, pretty big deal for us. And the way you can help is to go to imdb.com, look up the Two Opinionated podcast, and that's it. Just bringing our page up. That traffic really helps us out. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. All we ask is that you subscribe. It's also free, but that really helps us to attract these amazing guests that we keep bringing on the program. And that's it. Two easy ways for you to support us, and we would really appreciate the help. Now let's get to that interview. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Two Opinionated. I'm so excited today. I get to talk with actor Joe Daru. So welcome, Joe.
How's everyone doing? Thank you for having me.
I really just want to talk baseball.
I'm game. It's baseball season just started.
I know. Did you get to watch any of the opening day?
I did. Yankees look pretty good. I think the Dodgers, honestly, I think they're going to be very tough to beat. They're just a well-rounded team.
I mean, chances are somebody's going to beat them. There's just, there's so many teams, but they have got to have the most loaded lineup. Probably, I don't know what, 27 Yankees or 75 Reds or something. I mean, it's loaded.
It's funny. I mean, especially over the last couple of years, I see them bring in pieces like guys who, like this year, Conforto, right?
Yeah.
I could see him having a fantastic year because there's no stress on him individually needing to perform. Like
he's just a guy on that team.
He's just a guy, and they're so deep. It's scary.
I know. I've played in the same fantasy baseball league for 25 years, and it's keeper league. So most of our team doesn't change that much. But I stayed away from Dodgers pitchers this year. Not that they're talented, but there's so many of them.
Yeah.
Who knows how much any of them is actually going to pitch?
Because who's your team?
They'll limit them.
Yeah.
Until the postseason. But yeah, they've got about 7 or 8 aces. So
that's true. It's about staying healthy.
Yeah. What'd you think of the torpedo bats?
I like it. I think it makes total sense.
I bet you that it's either they'll won't allow them, or more likely, I think, is everybody in the league is going to be using them.
I think there's been some orders.
Yeah. I saw that one of the players off the Blue Jays had one. So it's starting to spread.
I think the Yankees used it last season during the playoffs. I think did. Stanton was using it. And then also it's funny because pitching has gone through so many changes in the last 15 years, right?
Yeah.
Hitters, I mean, a little bit with approach, right? People try to lift the ball more now, but I mean, I think it's cool. And it makes total sense. Like some guys just tend to hit the ball more towards their hands than off the end of the bat. And why not?
I thought I had read, and this may not be true. It may all just be the extra wood around the label or whatever. But I thought I had read that depending on the hitter, they can adjust where the meat of the bat is to how their swing works. So where they typically hit the ball, they could put more wood right there.
Who knows? We might not be having this conversation if I had a torpedo bat,
Well, I went back and looked at some of your statistics. Pretty good hitter.
Thank you. It was fun.
Yeah, that on base slugging percentage in some of those tournaments was pretty high.
Yeah, it's I would say that's the biggest thing now being an adult and past my baseball playing days is just going out there and competing, and there's nothing like it.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I played through high school. Never had the ability to really play in college, but I just love being out there.
What's your closest team? to where you're at?
Probably the Reds. That's the team. The first game I remember watching was Game 6, 75 World Series. Obviously that one kind of sticks with you, and I've been a fan ever since. But Pittsburgh, that's pretty close. Pittsburgh and Cincinnati about the same distance, and then Cleveland's not that far either.
So was the 75 team, was that Sparky Anderson?
Yeah.
I remember I heard a story where he's like, these are the team rules. And then he names his 5 Hall of Famers. And he's like, but you guys do whatever you want. For everyone else, these are the team rules. Yeah.
Hey, when you're a Hall of Famer, you get to do that stuff.
Yeah, you do what you want. You earned it.
I saw you got to play a little bit with Johnny Damon.
I did. We played together on the Thai National Team in the 2012 World Baseball Classic Qualifiers. Yeah, he's a great dude. I mean, what a legend.
Like it.
Yeah, he is the most down to earth, roll out of bed, smiles, hits the ball out of the stadium, and then he's such a genuinely nice and caring person, and also a physical specimen. I mean, he's jacked.
Well, and he's one of those rare players that were kind of popular with Boston and New York. I mean, that never happens.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's funny is you see guys at that level, like mentally, you're competing all the time. Like, guys are always coming for your job. You're trying to keep your spot. You're competing against the best players in the world. And it's funny, I had a conversation with with one of my friends yesterday that I had dinner with, who played minor league ball for the Orioles.
Yeah.
He grew up around baseball, but he was explaining, he's like, Barry Bonds has become much more likable now. I would say same with A-Rod, same with Kobe after they played, right? Because I feel like when you're playing, you have a certain mindset. And especially, I mean, now it's a little different with social media. People can connect with people more easily. Right? But like, you're competing against the best players in the world. It's not always easy to turn the switch of like, hey, happy, I love everyone, and then, okay, I need to be a dog and go out and compete. So that's why I feel like a lot of these guys post playing, you're able to see a little bit more of their personality. So when somebody like, I would say like Johnny is able to have that personality and also still be able to compete at a high level, like, it's impressive,
It really is. Yeah, I'd never really thought about that. But Bonds, he was pretty disliked at times. But then since he's kind of retired, he actually engages a little bit with people. He'll do some interviews, much more relaxed, Barry Bonds now.
Yeah, and it's cool to see. And then when they, there's the videos of him talking about hitting and Greg Maddux talking about pitching, and the dude was on it. He was smart. He's like, I know what he's thinking. I know have you seen that clip?
I have seen that clip.
Yeah, where he's like, oh, he jammed me. He's like, he's going to think I'm going to speed up. I'll look for an off speed away or change up away. And Maddox like, ooh, I know he wants to speed up. I'm going to throw a change up away. And I'm like, dude, they say about hitting, you either have to be really smart or really dumb.
Right.
Like, see ball, hit ball. And if you're in the middle, you're screwed.
Yes. Yeah. Which is where most of us are.
Yeah.
I
feel like acting is almost that way too. It's like you either can analyze and understand the pacing and everything great and the story, or you just kind of like wing it. And if you're in the middle, you can overthink things, and that could just complicate things,
I kind of like that because, it's that professional mindset. You just get out there and kind of grind and keep your head down and just work. And eventually, hopefully, it gets somewhere. But I never really thought about that. But, of course, you're out there. You're at the highest level. You're trying to stay, at that level and be relevant, not just passable. Yeah, you got to be focused, and that'd be tough to actually be all yourself, if it makes sense, personality wise, because you'd be more closed off, I think, because you're just focused. So I don't know. Yeah, I never thought of that, but that's pretty impressive that he was able to kind of let his personality go, and it didn't really affect his play. In my opinion, it probably helped him.
Yeah.
Because he's that type of player. He probably feeds off of that crowd interaction.
Yeah. And everyone responds differently, right? So it's like, if you get a coach who's a yeller, I mean, I would say more at the younger levels in like college, because I feel like in the pros, you don't really get that, right?
Yeah.
But some people respond really well to it and forces them to focus. and some people they turn off and their effort or their concentration goes down. So it's funny. It's like everyone responds differently to different things, and at the end of the day, you hope you're giving yourself the best chance to succeed.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly right. Exactly right. I'll tell you a very quick baseball story, and then we have to get into the acting. I'll let it go. But I was a shortstop when I played, and I could hit, I could field. That wasn't an issue, but I had a terrible arm. I mean, there was no. I mean, when I was younger, it probably didn't matter, but once I got up to regulation bases stuff, my arm was terrible. So I had to cheat up to where I was basically standing next to the pitcher. Which if I got a hold of the ball, no problem.
Yeah.
A little tough to catch too many when you're that close to but we had a game and we had multiple players get injured, pitchers, and I had a terrible arm, could not pitch a lick, and coach put me in the pitch, and I'd never done it.
Yeah.
So I'm up there, I'm just trying to throw the ball over the plate. I threw 15 straight balls. So I walked the first 3 batters, it was 3-0 on the 4th batter. And I finally lobbed one that got over the plate. And the guy hit it right back to me. Yeah. And we turned to triple play. So I'm running into the dugout, and the coach says, "That's the way to pitch." I was like, I don't know about that.
All according to plan,
All according. I told him, I was like, I'll just setting them up.
Yeah.
Needless to say, I did not come out for the second inning.
That's what. But you know what? He had a 0 ERA.
That's it. I retired.
Yeah.
With this perfect ERA.
That's funny.
Well, so Joe, let's start this way. Talk a little bit about what got you into acting, because that's a tough profession. And how did you make that transition from baseball to acting?
Okay, like I would say, growing up, I dabbled in filmmaking in different. Like I kind of traveled and we moved quite a bit because of my dad's job. So looking back now, like as a kid, me and my brother used to, take the camera, and we would just make our little like home movies of like a superhero or this or that. And I remember in like 7th and 8th grade, I took a filmmaking class when we were going to international school in Thailand, and I mean they taught us how to use iMovie and how to cut things up, and then they would show it in front of the school at the end of the year, end of the semester, like town hall gathering.
Oh, cool.
And so looking back, I enjoyed those things very much. But as I played baseball, it's like my focus was baseball. I wasn't thinking about, I'm going to get into this or that. I was like, I'm going to the big leagues. I'm going to play 20 years and go off into the sunset, No, but when baseball came to an end, with sports, it's like every year that goes on, the window gets smaller and smaller, and it's, I feel like definitely kind of the opposite with acting, where as you get older, you kind of age yourself into more different opportunities, but maybe more opportunities. But with sports, it's like there's always somebody younger that they're trying to get in, And so,
once you get kind of on the wrong side of 30, they're already looking for your replacement.
Yeah. So even like that would be like, hey, you're in the big leagues, right? There's a number, but getting into like affiliated ball. So I played college. I went to a smaller Division I school in New York. I did a handful of pre-draft workouts. Didn't get drafted. Worked out for a few teams afterwards, and then there's a scout for the Diamondbacks who kind of helped get me into an independent league in Michigan. So I played indie ball, and then worked out for the Diamondbacks again. And then had a few opportunities, kind of played in like this little winter league with a bunch of independent ball coaches. Had a couple offers to play indie ball. Went to Arizona, did another workout for the Diamondbacks. And I mean, my mindset was always, hey, I wanted to play to make it to the big leagues, right? Yeah. I was like, I didn't want to be a lifer. I didn't want to get into coaching and scouting and spend my whole adult career, just in baseball. Like I love it, but I knew I wanted to play, right? Yeah. And so after I worked out for the Diamondbacks, did get an offer, and I had 2 independent ball offers. Yep. And I had to look myself in the mirror and say, hey, what do I want? Is this one of those things where I'm just going to keep going back for as long as they call me? or is this something that I'm really like going all in? And I felt at that point, I was like, you know what? I feel like I've been able to travel around the world playing baseball. I was able to compete at some very high levels, and I was like, I was okay moving on. And so the next thing from there becomes, where do I go? Because
Right.
we kind of lived all over, you know, like Thailand, Barbados, Laos, Hawaii, Florida, D.C,
Yeah,
college in
your father was a diplomat, is that
he was
right?
a diplomat, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so it's like every 2 to 4 years we'd move somewhere. So then the question becomes, all right, now what? Where do I go? And then also, what do I want to do?
Right.
And so I remember this clearly. I was having a conversation with my parents, and I was like, I'm thinking entertainment would be fun. I used to just bullshit with my teammates and keep a straight face, and they had no idea whether or not I was lying or telling the
Yep.
truth. And my parents were like, Joe, you're 24, you have no student loans, you don't have kids or any obligations that you need to take care of. It's like, if you want to do it, this is the time to do it. We'll help you go, like, move to LA, get settled.
Awesome.
Um, I think a part of I mean, they're very supportive. They've always been
Yep.
super supportive in baseball and whatever me and my brother wanted to do, But I do think a part of it had to be that they saw a certain work ethic that came from baseball, where it's like, hey, you say you're going to do something, you kind of put your mind to it, you're able to dedicate yourself, game plan, just go and at least give yourself a real shot of being
Right.
successful in it, right? So yeah, I came to LA and moved here in 2017, and each year, just tried to learn as much as I could, trying to get it on as many sets as possible.
Right.
And I would say after COVID, that's when I started working pretty consistently.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you've shown up on a whole bunch of shows, which is how you do when you kind of get
yeah,
started. You tend to do the guest spots, and you pop in different places, and then eventually that leads to bigger and better.
you
But
hope.
yeah, I've enjoyed watching you on the different shows, and I think didn't you have an appearance on the morning show?
I did.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yes.
thought so. I thought so.
Yeah.
Yeah, enjoyed that. The son, brother, son.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, enjoyed that one. And those were all kind of minor stuff. And then I saw that you did some stunt work on the rookie.
Hmm.
Yeah, which is love that show. It's one of those that it's kind of a comfort food type of show. Um, it's serious but not too serious.
Yeah. No, it's fine. They have a lot of good, funny moments.
Oh yeah, they really do. Yeah, they do a lot of like a little bit of humor right at the beginning of the episode, that type of stuff. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty
That's why
good.
when I moved to LA in 2017, first thing I did, it was funny. And I'm very super grateful for this. There's a guy named Tim Deal who we were driving through Joshua Tree on our
Yep.
way to LA, and they were shooting a kind of like a student project kind of thing, right? But they had some trucks and equipment. So they had some money behind it, but we just drove through Joshua Tree. We see a production. I'm driving with my parents, and my dad is a talker. So he's like, I'm gonna go talk. I was like, oh my goodness. So he just goes and talks to this guy he was a PA on this, an assistant on this, production
Yeah.
assistant. And he's like, oh, you're moving to LA? He's like, here, take my email. I'll just email you some stuff that you can maybe get started. Super grateful he did this. It
That's really
basically lined
nice.
out all the casting sites where people would go to get headshots, where just kind of broke it down, mentioned doing central casting, which is background on TV shows. So the
Yeah.
first thing I did when I moved here was I signed up for central casting, and I spent my first couple years doing that too. Probably from then till COVID, I was basically trying to get on as many sets as possible, right?
I think that's a smart way to do it, especially when you're kind of inexperienced, because
Yeah,
it kind of teaches you what to
100,
expect when you're on set. You get to watch other actors work. Yeah, I
yeah,
think that's a great way to do
yeah.
it.
And you learn etiquette, and I also took it from a standpoint of like I want to understand kind of lighting and audio. So when I had a chance to ask guys who were working and they're professionals at the highest level working on these productions, right? I could ask the audio guy about audio stuff and the lighting guy about lighting stuff. And at this point too, I met a guy named Axia, who is my creative partner. We shoot a bunch of short films together.
Yeah, I
But
saw you were doing a bunch
I,
of short films.
I met him and we started shooting our own stuff. And like each short film, we'd get a new light or we'd get better audio equipment and we'd just try to, slowly level
Move it
up.
up. Yeah.
Yeah. So I spent the first handful of years in LA doing that. And then also I looked myself in the mirror. I was like, what skills do I have? What can I use that's going to separate me from other people? Like I speak Thai. Okay. That can potentially help. I mean, that's not super common, but it can help me maybe
I mean,
get some.
White Lotus is in Thailand this year.
Very true. I would have loved to have gotten on that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then I also thought I was like baseball. So baseball's helped, but there's not as many baseball shows as there are football or,
Right.
some other sports. And then I was like, I'm athletic. So then from there, there's a stunt training school kind of near my house. And so I started going there. And then, just trying to develop the
Yeah, just
skills.
build up your toolbox a little bit.
Yeah. And then so I started shooting my own content, kind of making a reel there. Started training and getting like action stunt footage. And then, yeah, started basically after COVID. I think I probably had like 3 stunt credits before. It was like the rookie, NCISLA, and SEAL team. And then
Yep.
COVID happened. And then after that, yeah, just like I think it was such a break in the industry and the system. And it was
Yeah.
such a change that everyone was trying to figure it out. So it's like if you had a chance to wiggle in, that
Yeah, it's
was
kind of a reset. It gave you an opening.
yeah. And if you were good with tech and you were able to get things in quickly and you're able to self-tape and you're able to edit your own like action
Right.
sequences, it was different. It was such a change that it was maybe a skill that other people who had been on the hamster wheel and
Right.
working all the time and not needing those skills, it was a chance to kind of get some more opportunities. So it's like that. Yeah, I just tried to take full advantage of that. So that was kind of the transition, and then from that doing stunts and having an acting reel that I made myself, with my buddy. Then started getting stunt acting roles where it's like the stunt coordinator would be like, "Hey, I need a guy to get shot, but I
Right.
need a guy to say something first." And then you would be submitted with 3 people. So
Yep.
it's like your pool of competition was relatively small compared to 1,000 people or 2,000 people in LA wanting to audition for it, So then I started getting some stunt acting roles, and then I started getting, built up an agent manager kind of my team, and then started just getting um, at first smaller roles, and
Yeah.
then some recurring roles, and then just kind of grown from there.
That's awesome, but also, I mean, that's the path, and most actors, that's kind of how they go through it. You start kind of at the bottom and you
Yeah.
build up your skills until you can get that big, break, which usually isn't like life changing, but it might be a role on a show or a recurring role, something where it just kind of advances where it gives you that feeling that, okay, maybe I can do this. And then you kind of go from there. I think that's awesome and not easy, coming from a completely different background
Yeah.
to get into that.
But when you know less, sometimes you go in with a attitude of, all right, well, I'll get it done. I'll figure it out.
It
And
kind of takes some of the pressure off when you don't know anything,
yeah,
because you're just like, huh?
good to, it's
The
good to
only
be,
way I can go is up.
it's good to be dumb.
I made a whole career out of that. Well, I saw For All Mankind. You had a couple episodes on there.
Yeah.
We'd had Chris Marshall been on, which was terrific. And then your new one out now, which is Long Bright River, uh, is awesome. But
Yeah.
I'll let you tell us about that. So tell us a little bit about Long Bright River. What's it about? And then what's your role on the show?
Okay. So Long Bright River is basically about it's a mix of a few different things. It's main character Amanda Seyfried is a
Yep.
police officer whose sister has an opioid addiction, right?
Well, was she a former officer, maybe, or was she?
Her sister was not. No, but
Okay,
she
okay. Yeah,
she
I couldn't
wasn't.
remember. We
Yeah.
we watched the first couple,
Yeah.
and then my wife went to Brazil, and she got
Uh,
back last night. So I've been waiting on her to watch because there's probably what 4 of them out now.
there's 8 episodes.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, did they release all of them at once?
Yeah, all
Oh,
eight
okay,
are
okay. Yeah,
out.
we're on
Yeah,
episode 3, so I've
yeah.
been
Oh
waiting
no,
on
I'd
yours.
love to hear what you think afterwards.
Yeah, yeah, I will. I'll send you notes. The first 2 episodes though
Yeah,
are terrific. Yeah, I don't know why I was thinking her sister was
yeah,
police officer, but she had opioid addiction and just kind of disappeared. Is where
yeah,
I'm at. So
yeah. And
now her
it
sister,
shows.
Amanda, that's the police officer. She's trying to figure out what happened to her.
Yeah. So I won't spoil too much for you, but it basically shows the relationship. I think the biggest storyline here is the relationship between the sisters.
Yeah.
Okay. And one's a police officer and one is kind of living on the streets. And it shows a lot of, and that's a sad reality for, I think, a lot of families is having someone or knowing someone who has dealt with addiction, right? And I
Oh
think,
yeah, it's miserable. And most of us at least know somebody.
yeah,
If we don't have that direct contact,
yeah,
yeah, it's awful. And such a, I think what people what the last several years has kind of taught us about the opioid addiction is that's not easy to get away from. Once you're in it,
yeah.
very difficult to get back out.
And it affects everyone, like your family.
Everybody.
It takes a toll on all the people around you, you know? So I think they did a really good job of kind of showing that. And in the midst of that, there's also there's a lot of deaths that are happening. So almost the feeling of there's a serial killer out there and targeting women who kind of fit this description. And so
That maybe won't be missed. Yeah.
exactly. So it kind of goes under the radar. But Amanda's character obviously is very invested in this because she doesn't want it to happen to her sister.
Yeah.
And so that's the storyline. It's like a thriller. I mean, it's a thriller. I don't want to say a cop show because it's not really that, but it's
No,
more
it's
comedy
more of
thriller.
a thriller drama is what I'd have because yes, she's a police officer, but that's not really the main
Yeah,
storyline, although it comes into play.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, it's the writing on it is outstanding. I mean, the dialogue between characters and the way that the you can feel the emotion without it being shown. Just by the you can hear it in the voice, that type of thing. I've loved it so far. That's why I said I was like, of all times for you to take off for a week,
yeah.
we'd have been done by now.
Yeah.
So,
So,
what's your role in it, Joe?
so I play a detective. So out of town. I mean, this is in Kensington, Philadelphia, is where this takes place. So yeah, kind of a guy who's not from there, kind of out of town, and he is a detective coming to help with this serial killer situation, with these murders. And so it's somebody who Amanda's character Mickey could kind of finds a connection with, and they try to figure out who's doing the killings.
I know you're so good in it too, and I just got to see a little bit of you. But I love that you're coming in the scenes there where you're kind of in the briefing room and going over stuff. Pretty good.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a great experience to work on it. Everyone was super lovely to work with. Amanda's great.
Yeah.
The showrunner Nikki was so kind. Liz, who wrote the book and also as a co-creator, was there almost every day. And I mean, everyone was it was when you have bigger roles where you can contribute more, you start to build a different, bond with the people you're working with. Because it's one thing to show up on a show that's been running for 7 seasons or 10
And
seasons,
you're there a day or two, and
and
then
you're
you're
there,
gone.
there a day or two. It's like you're in and you're out, and the train keeps on rolling,
Right.
So it's not. It was nice to be a part of something where it's like, okay, they're like, hey, um, we're looking to change the character's name to something that fits your background, or do you have any suggestions? So it's like even little
Oh,
things like that. So it's like,
yeah, that's cool.
yeah, give him a Thai last name. So,
Yeah. So how do you pronounce that last name?
Danjarat.
Oh, that's good. That's
Yeah.
good. I was like, because I would with my terrible West Virginia, I would have accent probably would have said Dan Jarrett. But it sounds so much better when you say it.
Well, that was one of the plays was it being mispronounced by
Yeah.
the sergeant. So yeah, no, it was cool. It was a lot of fun, and you definitely hope that something like this can give you more opportunities like this.
Is it a show that, I mean, is it a, more like a limited series, or is there a possibility that we get a second season?
So the initial idea was it was based off a book, limited series.
Yeah. That's what I figured. Yeah.
But you have no idea where this world,
right.
Right. So it's like if Peacock wants another season, do people just say no, or do they say okay?
I say okay.
Yeah, I would be on board with that. But yeah,
I think it's Amanda's first maybe TV show since Big Love, I think.
And she did. Yeah, I mean, she did what, Dope Sick or Dope?
Oh, Dope Sick. Yeah, yeah. I forgot that one. She did. You're right. Yeah. Yeah, she's talented and has been doing this. She's not that old. Has been doing this forever.
Yeah.
She's been in business for a while. That has to be kind of good. I think if you're you're starting out, you're kind of getting yourself established to be around people like that also went through that, but at a younger age, and now they're veterans. That has to be kind of useful as far as picking up, tips and stuff with acting.
Absolutely. I think, I realize this. I've been fortunate. I've worked with some very good actors, successful
you really
actors
have.
over the last few years. And I see it's like they give a lot of really good options, because at the end of the day, you're giving options to the editor to make the suit, right? So I see, like, for her, it was like such different takes. I mean, subtle, different changes with each time we would do a take, which was interesting and fun to watch, because it's not about doing the same thing over and over and over again. Right. It's like you add a little bit of life and change.
Well, yeah, what's the point in just repeating the same thing? You got to change it to see if it's something that you like better.
100%. And then also, she's in every scene almost, and there's a difference. Like, if you look at this,
I guess she is.
So you're working full days. So for me, I would work a day or a couple days on an episode, right? So I would have a week or 2 weeks to prep, or sometimes 5 days to prep, or sometimes 3 days to prep. She's working every day. So she's working a full day today doing all the scenes, and then also the next day having the same thing, and also the next day having the same thing. So there's days that she'll be reading her sides on the chair while they're doing hair and makeup. And that's very impressive. Like, that is not, I know if it's longer, chunkier stuff, she'll maybe look at it before, because we talked about it. But, like, to me, very impressive. And that's like a pro's pro, right?
Yeah.
You just pick it up. You can kind of understand the scene off reading it once or twice and hop right in. Like, it's a very impressive skill to be able to.
Oh my gosh. That's one I would love to have just for regular life, to be able to retain that type of knowledge, just from glancing at stuff. That's impressive.
I think, though, that's like repetition, right? You do it over and over, and it doesn't always stick. I mean, there's some people who've been doing this forever and they have a tough time memorizing lines. But, like, when I see that and I see such good choices, I realize the pros pro, or the Hall of Fame type performers, they're able to look at it and instantly see 5 different ways that they can approach it.
Right.
So to me, that's an impressive thing. That's like the Barry Bonds mindset of hitting. There's also people who think like that when they're going out to perform or act.
Yeah. You're exactly right. And that's why you've got, different levels of stars. That top level is usually filled with people that have been doing this for a while, and they've built up those skills, and they're confident. They show up on set and they're just ready to work. So those are the ones you see that they're just kind of relaxed, take it easy, and then somebody yells action and they're instantly in character.
I did a scene with Sterling K. Brown on This Is Us.
Love him.
He would have a heavy tear go out of his, I think, left eye on the same word every single take. Not like a little tear, like a heavy, like, he's such a good crier. But I'm sitting there and we're doing the scene, and it's like an adoption group scene. And he's talking about his adoption experience, and a heavy tear. And I'm like, holy shit, dude.
That's impressive.
How do you, like, do that over? And then they'll be like, okay, reset. And he just kind of wipe it off, and action, and then go again. I'm like, man,
that man's some some water so he doesn't dehydrate.
I'm like, that was so impressive.
Yeah, he was awesome. I just finished watching that Paradise that he was on. He was awesome on that.
Paradise is,
Chris
yeah.
Marshall was on that too.
Chris Marshall's working a lot.
She is. I've been seeing her, like when I talked to her, it was she was doing For All Mankind, and then since then she just keeps popping up on stuff. She was on Vince Vaughn did a show called Bad Monkey. She popped up on there. I mean, that's how it goes though. Once you've had that one where people recognize, okay, this person, they know what they're doing a little bit, then other opportunities start coming.
Once you go on this show, everything starts rolling.
I think that's the takeaway.
Yeah.
Once you've been on Too Opinionated, doors open. Okay. You don't even have to do anything. They just open up.
I'll be back next week. Yeah.
Doors open, they quickly shove you out, and then that's it. Was the show, I know it was kind of taking place there in Pennsylvania. Did you film there?
They filmed all in New York.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was curious because it seems like a very poor area on the show.
Yes.
And a lot of the scenes for the town and that stuff, they look like a big chunk of West Virginia, and it's it can be a little bit disheartening if you're living in that type of situation. And I think the show kind of shows that a little bit. You got everybody's just a little bit stressed because you've got that kind of financial element that's out there, and most people are struggling with money. And I think the show does that really well. But yeah, I was curious because Pennsylvania, Kentucky, West Virginia, a lot of the towns and city stuff look very similar.
From my understanding, a lot of the drone shots were done in Kensington.
Really? Yeah.
That's my understanding. So I may be incorrect.
Yeah, that's probably why then. So it was actually showing.
Yeah, but I think the drone or the wider shots would have been shot there, and then the filming itself.
That's cool.
Mostly, I'd say mostly New York. Yeah, but it was, it's not a it's not a show that's gonna make you just laugh and smile the whole time. No. It's like real, like, but that's real life, and it's gritty, and it's not pretty, and this is I think a subject they did a really good job of diving into, and it's not an easy subject to Yeah.
So is it time to do we need to spin off your character? Is it too soon to do that yet?
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, you're already established as a detective, so
yeah,
let's just follow you for a season.
Yeah, but it's funny, we talk about, and I've doubled guys on shows who were leads of or series regs of shows, and I would sit there, and this made me realize this. That's why it's like, I think playing sports, you learn not to get too high, too low, right?
That's right.
Have to stay even killed, right? Or you try to at least. But I've doubled guys where I'm like, this is a big budget show. This is their first time as a series reg. This does not guarantee they will ever work again.
That's right.
And I have that same, like it's cool. I'm so grateful. And this luckily has led to me being on Chicago Fire, because it's the same network, and given opportunities by people, which I'm super grateful for.
Yeah. Because they're familiar with you. So then when other stuff comes up, they're like, hey, who'd be good there? Joe would be good.
Yeah. So I would love this to continue. I'd love to do more shows on, Peacock, NBC, and expand as much as I can. But the reality is, you have no idea. The rest of this year, I could be super busy, or it could be dead. Knock on wood.
You might might be time to dust off the baseball mitt.
Yeah. So it's funny because I appreciate it. I'm enjoying it. It's been this has been such a fun year so far, the show coming out, and I'm traveling quite a bit to Chicago for Chicago Fire. Yeah. But it's like the stock market. Which can stress out, especially right now.
You're talented. Everything I've seen you in, I know, a lot of it's smaller parts, but you're talented. You can see the talent. You seem comfortable, when you're in the scenes. Absolutely loved you on this one. I kept waiting for you to show up. I was like, he hadn't shown up yet. We'll see. And then when you came in, it was pretty good. Like they gave you a little bit of an entrance, So it was like, ooh, who's this guy? I
It's,
was like, that's Joe.
yeah. It's funny. It's like you get I read the book just to kind of, when I booked the job, I read the book to kind of see how big of a role I would have. And I would say there's a difference between the book and the show, right?
Yeah.
And so when we
So was
got
it bigger or less?
it was bigger. In the book, is the characters mentioned a few times. In the show, I would mention more than a few times.
Well, they used your character to help propel the story a little bit.
Yes. So I think in the book you can just say, you could just say the information she's thinking, or you can just say what she's thinking. In the show, they didn't want it to be like voiceover inner dialogue. So everything that you wanted to show the audience, somebody had to either tell her, or you really had to show the emotion of what she was going through for them to understand, right? So it's like they needed somebody to explain more detail about the murders or the crime or the investigation. But it's funny, there's one scene where at the end it was, talk about a little bit about some information about the case. And then it was like, hey, I heard you spent some time in West Philly. She's like, yeah. It's like, I went to Penn too. She's like, I just went for a semester. It's like, I knew I liked you, but
yeah, that was a great scene.
Yeah. But at that point, I have no idea where the storyline goes, right? So you try to play it a few different ways, maybe a little flirty, and then the director's like, okay, cool. Just so you know, you guys never hook up. But you're like, you don't know.
Well, that's good to know though, right?
But it's like, like the storyline, because you're like, am I playing this like, oh, we're gonna be like flirty, or is this like strictly business, or is it like you don't know?
Yeah, that's really interesting. So that's why you do the different.
So you try the different things, and then watching the show, sometimes you're like, shit, that's what that meant. And then now you think, you're like, I could have played that differently, or I could have played this differently,
Yeah.
So
that's really interesting. I love the behind the scenes stuff and what goes through an actor's head while you're doing it. Because you wouldn't know. Yeah. Not at that point.
Same with on the screen, you're pointing to, hey, this is the body. You're pointing to a green screen, and so that's why I said I had another. I was on another show where they're like, "Hey, how did it feel seeing all the images? It must have been hard." I'm like, "I'm not gonna lie, I didn't see anything. I was here, I was pointing, and then the body showed up."
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
No, I think that's really interesting, and I love that, because you're right. It could have went several different ways when you guys first meet. That's interesting. I like to tell my wife that one, that you did are we, is there some sparks there at some point? Is something going on? That's pretty good.
And I think that's also part of storytelling, is especially in a thriller where people are trying to figure out what's going on. Right? You kind of throw things many different ways as possible. I also I know, and looking back on it, I think it worked okay, but was there also a piece of people that think maybe the detective is a guy killing? I don't know. Like, to me, I kind of played with that idea when we were filming.
There was a moment there in that second episode where I told that to my wife. I was like, "Oh, I wonder if is he the bad guy?"
So I think that, and all these little things, is like you play and you just see where it goes.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. Was this like do you get your own trailer? You had the whole setup?
Yeah, well, when we shot in the police station, right, it was on a sound stage. So then when we shot on the sound stage, it was in New York's different than LA. LA there'll be the big sound stages, right?
Yeah.
In New York, they're more like warehouses. So they were something else before, and it's space that was bought up. And so in some of these buildings, some of these warehouses, there are actual like rooms. And so we were held in rooms when we were doing that. Yeah, which was nice. I mean, you go there's a bathroom, there's a kitchen,
that's not terrible.
Yeah. I like it.
Well, I asked because I got a chance a couple years ago to moderate for William Shatner when he came through. He does a little one-man show, and yeah, basically I'll just feed him questions, and then he'd talk with the audience. But they gave me a dressing room,
Yeah.
and I'd never had anything like that. And it was
Yeah.
just basically it's just me in an empty room. I'm like, this is the best thing ever.
Yeah.
There wasn't even a TV in there. It was just a room with mirrors.
Yeah. No, that's it's funny for lunch too. Some people like want to sit and stay in the zone.
Yeah.
And they sit and have lunch. And I'm like, I like people. I'm like, I want to eat lunch with people, or I don't want to sit
Yeah.
in this box,
That's right. You don't want to be off by yourself.
Yeah. All right. So I catch myself like on set, because they'll have a PA who, like, when they're ready for you, be like, hey, they're ready for you. I would say most actors will probably hang out in their trailer or in their room, and then
Yeah.
when they're needed, they bring them. Like, I get so bored just sitting in the room and you're on your phone, and also when there's dialogue, I don't like to read because then I'm like, then it kind of maybe I'm just putting in more
I
information
think
in
I
my
would be
brain,
like that.
you know.
I
So
totally get that because and two, if you're in a room by yourself for too long, it brings your energy level down,
yeah.
which then you got to ramp it back up once you go on out the set. I think I might want to stay out with people and kind of keep the energy up.
Yeah. And I also love filmmaking. So I love seeing how they set up the lights and what they're doing and what they're talking, because what they're talking about, because I shoot all these short films with my buddy.
Yeah,
And
yeah, you're learning.
and when we do this, we ball on a budget, and I act in most of the stuff.
Yeah.
We both like co-direct and co-write, and he'll handle like the lighting and the camera. But it's like sometimes it's me, him, and another actor, and I'm there and I'm adjusting the boom and I'll move the light, and then I'll sit down and action. So it's like you're kind of doing everything, and you have to be able to flip the switch, because you go from a boom operator to fixing the other actor's hair
Right.
to doing the scene in a span of 10 seconds,
Yeah, but what a great way to learn how to do everything.
Yeah. I mean, I think doing that has helped me acting. And also, I think the biggest thing too is like editing. Then you start to see, okay, moments and what we're looking for. And like we've shot a bunch with kids, right? And I
Yeah.
realize it's not about it's not about being perfect from the beginning to the end, because you're going to cut in and out. So
Right.
it's about having moments. And I feel like, okay, for me, and then I use that for me when I'm working, because I'm like, okay, it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to have little moments, looks, thoughts. Um, and yeah, I mean,
Love that.
when we work with kids, sometimes I'll be like, hey, look down, look up, and say your line. Okay, now look, think about, you're really confused about this. Now look over and say your line. And we'll just do that. And we just know we're gonna cut right before and right
Yeah.
after. And yeah, I mean that works
That's a good trick with young ones, especially.
with kids, or with really like we shot some stuff with some really like a 95-year-old lady,
Yeah.
playing video games. I'd be like, and you're playing video games, and in 3 seconds you're gonna say what the hell, in three, two, one, what the hell, and you keep playing, and your next line is, and then you just cut the audio, and then you just mix and match,
That's
but like,
impressive. Yeah, you've learned a few things.
but I would not know that if I did not direct and edit with my buddy. And if there's like so many things you learn from just doing it.
Any plans down the road to try to direct, a bigger feature or TV show?
I'm definitely open to that.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely things to learn, right? I think for like network shows, it's more from a logistics standpoint,
Right.
understanding like making your days. You go overtime, that's more money. So it's like with network shows, um, it's not really about the artistic like experience that you can go and you're going to spend um, so much time on one scene. It's like, hey, everything's blocked out. There's a schedule. You need to understand how you're going to cut it. So I think there's a different style if you're doing like films to if you're doing like a network show.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that there's definitely, I know some of these networks have programs that people get into for directing. I would love to, because to me, I'm all about learning. I would love to get into one of those so I could understand more of the business side of directing, also the thought process and all that. But I think um, my opportunity to get that would be to become a series reg on a show, or to have a big
That's right.
role on a show where they're like, hey, we like you. why don't you shadow or something like that? So to
Yeah,
me,
they kind of bring you along, and then at some point you get to do an episode.
I would love to do that, but I know in order for that to probably happen, if I'm going to direct other people's stuff, I would have to go through some sort of training just to understand that world a little bit more, because
Yeah,
it's different when you write stuff and you're directing your own stuff because you already know and you could change whatever you want.
that's right.
You know? But if you're doing like a network show and it's been approved and there's a writer and everyone's in a union and there's certain union rules, the director can't be like, nah, just say this. Like you have to
Right. Yeah, you can't just be making changes.
yeah, so I think that there's definitely a difference, which I'm definitely open to, but I definitely want to learn more. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
Is there a genre that you haven't got to do that you'd like to try?
hmm. Okay, so the shorts I make is mostly at first was dramedies. I love comedy.
I do
Okay,
too. Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
like
that's what I was
comedy.
thinking. I was like, I'd like to see you in some comedy.
Yeah, but I would say my style would probably be more dry comedy, like just
Yeah,
being a
yeah.
dick or like you know.
Oh yeah.
And so most of the stuff I get hired to do, or not most, almost all the stuff I get hired to do is drama.
Yeah.
Okay. But I know like I enjoy drama, and having like a serious tone, but like to me, comedy, it's just
What's fun?
it's a fun environment to be in, but it's when you're writing stuff for yourself, you could kind of fit it more to how your tone is. When you
Yeah.
get hired to do it, you have to kind of figure out what is your tone, but also what are they looking for?
Right.
And
Yeah,
so if
because you're
it's
not in control at that point.
but if it's super like quirky, I feel like it feels, at least to me, it feels forced. And I have friends who are like charactery who dive into that and it's so funny. But to me, I'm like, okay, when I feel like I'm trying to be really quirky, it just feels weird.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I could
so
see that. Doesn't feel natural.
yeah. But like I see a guy like, you know who Danny McBride is?
Oh yeah, of course. Love Danny
So
McBride.
I see his career where he acts, he directs, he produces, he writes. Um, a lot of his comedies, I mean, I mean, he plays an asshole in like everything.
Everything. Yeah.
Yeah. But to me, it is so funny. And I would absolutely love to be able to do something like that.
I
Like,
love that.
do you
Now
see
I think you need to just do one with Danny, like a
the
buddy comedy.
how that is literally when people are like, hey, what kind of career do you want? And I'm like, dude, he lives in a normal town. He hires all his buddies. They pretty much run the town or the city.
Oh yeah.
And people love his shows. So he just like I mean, he's been out, where's he in Charleston? He's been there for how many years?
He's been
And
there
it's
a
just
while. Yeah, because he
one
did
show
what
after
was his
another.
baseball shows? Eastbound and Down.
Eastbound and Down, and then they did Vice Principals, and now they're
Love
doing
that one too. Yeah.
Vice Principals to me, the funniest,
Yeah. I
And
really enjoyed that one because my dad was a principal, until he retired, and it just I watched that one with him a lot, and it just cracked us both up.
but it's just like I mean, Walton Goggins too, and that was
He's good in everything.
so funny.
I forgot that he was the other guy in that. Yeah, he totally was.
Yeah, he's so different than what he's playing in White Lotus, you know?
Everything, every show he's in, because he did that Fallout show too,
Yeah.
where he was, the whatever they called the
He's
creature.
like he's a real actor.
Yeah, yeah, he's
That's fun.
talented.
Yeah.
Because he's got a unique look. Everybody knows who he is. They may not know his name, but they know him because he's so recognizable, and then he's just talented.
Yeah.
He can act. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty good. I've loved him since Justified.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty
This
good. Well, Joe, thank you for taking a little bit of time with us. We're gonna have to do a
absolutely.
part two.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on. It was nice chatting with you.
Oh, this has been great. Yeah, we're gonna have to do a part two, I think. Well, you're
Let
gonna
me
have to
know.
come back.
Yeah, let me know. I mean, now that I have done this, now the doors will just fly open.
Yeah, that's true. You may be too busy to come back.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah,
didn't your brother play ball with you too?
he did. He played professionally in Japan.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
So he played, his manager out there was Julio Franco. So he played with the Ishikawa Million Stars. Yeah, it was it's a
Julio
different.
he was playing in the major leagues till he was about 50.
I think when he was out there, he was like 56 years old. He was a player manager.
Crazy.
So he'd just be like, you know what? Yeah, I'll take an at bat here. Pinch hit. He's
Yeah.
this
Well, your
guy.
brother, yeah, that's right. That was
Yeah.
the stance. I was the Joe Morgan, with the elbow flip.
Okay. Yeah.
I always love that. But
Joe Morgan's a
yeah,
stud.
he must have been a good ball player if he was playing in Japan. That's a
Yeah,
good
he
league.
was a catcher. He was a catcher, and yeah, we had a chance to go out and visit him for a couple of weeks. It was so fun.
That's
Japan's
awesome. Nothing better than playing with family. That's cool.
Yeah, I would say the best player, and then I'll let you go. I know you probably have something else lined up.
Yeah,
so
but it's later. We're okay.
the best we were playing Taiwan.
Yeah.
I think we were in Korea, and it was a ground ball. I played center field. He played catcher, and it was a ground ball up the middle. And no, it wasn't a ground ball. It was a fly ball to center field, and there was a Husky runner on third base, and caught the ball through a one hop to home. My brother made a nice pick and tag double play. It
Oh,
was
that's
like
awesome.
the coolest play we've ever had. Double
I mean, did
play.
you celebrate after the game? Did you have dinner? Do you
I'm
get
sure.
some?
I'm like they there's the footage somewhere because all these games were being televised. So I'm like, at some point I need to go back
You
to
got to
Korea.
find that.
2014. Where is this footage? Yeah. So
Yeah, you got to find that. It's there.
yeah.
That's pretty good. Well, Joe, I hope you'll come back. This has been terrific. But before I let you go, anything else that you're working on that we can kind of keep an eye out for?
We'll have another episode of Chicago Fire coming out in April.
Yeah, that's a good show. Of course,
Yeah.
there's like 10 of them now. It's like all the departments in Chicago are covered now.
Yeah. I play an adoption agency worker.
Very
So I'm
good.
like, Chicago adopt. Let's make it happen. How many? All right. There's got to be.
That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah. So I have that. And then also, I make these short films we put online. They're all on my buddy's YouTube channel, Framed by Axia.
Oh, yeah, I can check those out.
FRAMED BYAXIA. So we have I think almost 25 short film. A few of them have gone viral, and a lot of these are all passion projects.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we make them with our friends. All the actors are friends or kids
Awesome.
that coach in baseball. And so, yeah, we put a lot of love and care into these. And so we have one we're working on soon that we'll put on that channel. So yeah.
Oh yeah, we'll check that out. That's awesome. I think here's my pitch. You're gonna have to write it though, because I can't write. I'm just the idea guy.
Yeah.
So I've got two different ones, but it's just a twist on the same story. So you're a baseball player, top of your game, have a horrible injury, kind of ends your career. Before it really, like, you're a star, but you're really just getting started. Your career is over before it really gets to come to fruition. So then you're down in you're down on your luck. You're kind of miserable. You don't, because that's all you've ever done. You don't know what you're going to do, and you accidentally fall into solving a crime. So you're ex-baseball player. You don't know what you want to do. Maybe you develop a little alcohol problem, whatever, but then you accidentally fall into like detective work. Okay. So that's one. Or same thing. You're from a small town, you go to the big city, play ball, everything's great. You get hurt, you can't play ball anymore. You don't know what you're going to do with yourself, but you kind of burnt your bridges when you left town, but you got to go back. And then of course you go back, and it just so happens that they need a high school baseball coach. So you get hired, you fall in love, there's your Hallmark movie. Either one, but you'll have to write them. I can't do it.
All shot in West Virginia.
Oh, we could be the small town at least.
And then we'll have your backdrop. Your backdrop will be the backdrop in almost every shot.
We could do that as it could be a billboard. We never explain it.
All right, I'll see you tomorrow. We'll start.
Yeah, come on. We'll just go ahead and get this started. Yeah. I think there you go. Because you were looking for, some baseball stuff. There you go. Because you get a chance to, you could show you actually playing a little bit before the injury. And then.
That's the dream. Make a baseball project. I like how you're thinking.
Or you could redo what was the Tom Selleck baseball movie? Do you remember that one?
It was
Mr. 3000, maybe?
yeah,
right?
Mr. 3000 was with Bernie Mac.
Oh, that's Bernie Mac. No, there was a Tom. I think there was a Tom, or maybe I'm thinking Bernie Mac.
No, I know who you're talking about, the Mr. Baseball when he goes to Japan.
He goes to Japan to play. That's been a
I would
long
say
time. We could remake that.
Old baseball movies did a good job of incorporating real players, incorporating stadiums, Major League Baseball. The more recent baseball projects, I feel like, has overused CGI.
Yes.
Like you should be able to hire people and not use CGI and have the actors do it, because then there's a feel to it, right?
Agree.
I just read in like Major League, one of the guys was so bad that they just didn't show him throwing.
Where I think I heard that.
Wesley Snipes, I think they were
Wesley Snipes could not throw.
Which to me, okay, you make it work without him having to throw. But now they would probably have somebody doing this, and then the ball's going at 100 miles an hour out of their hand, and then it just like it loses. People who like baseball will just get turned off. I know I do.
Yeah, agree. I'm the same way. And you don't really need to see him throw. You know, it shows him running the bases. That's all you really need with that character.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty good. Joe, where can we find you on social media?
Joe Daru, JoeDaru on Instagram. That's I would say that's the best way. And then
that's the nicest one.
Yeah, and I post all like my work stuff, and then also when short films come out, I share it on that. So
that's awesome. Yeah, you don't hear too many like nobody really complains about Instagram. All the other ones that you get people complaining, nobody really complains about Instagram.
It's easy, you know.
It's just, here's what I'm eating, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah, see, it's like show me, don't tell me.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. We all get in trouble when we start talking.
Yeah.
But here, look at what I had for breakfast. All right, Joe, hold on one second. Joe is terrific. Absolutely love him. And he's a talented actor. I think it's impressive that he's playing a high level of baseball and then transition to acting. That's probably not easy. That's really impressive. I watched the some of those classics, World Baseball Classics that he played in. It's been a decade ago, so I don't really recall if I saw him or not. It's very possible that I could have, but just looking at the statistics, Joe's a pretty good player. You don't at any level, if you can get on base 50% of the time and slug 700, pretty good. That's pretty good. So I like the fact that Joe was a baseball player and took that kind of work ethic, that that grinding mindset, and just moved it over to acting, because that's exactly, acting's a grind. If you want to make a career of it, it's very rare for somebody just to hit big immediately and then not have to worry. Most actors really have to grind out their career. So Joe, he's got the right mindset and the talent to back it up. So yeah, hope you enjoyed that. If you're not watching Long Bright River on Peacock or on NBC, make sure that you check that one out. It's terrific, and Joe's terrific in it. I'm only, I talked about it on the interview. I'm only a couple episodes in. Been waiting on my wife to get back from traveling, and then we'll finish it up. But we absolutely love the first two episodes. Just terrific. Wanted to run through some of the other things that Joe has been in that we didn't get to. He did a couple episodes of SWAT. I don't think we mentioned those. He did played Terry on Chicago Fire, which is awesome that he's coming back there. He was a gamer in the Gray Man movie, which I loved. I was hoping we were going to get a sequel to that. I'm pretty sure that's based on a graphic novel. We'll see. He had a little role in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. The Brother Son, I think I talked about. He was a police officer in that. Love and Death, which was a mini series by David Kelly that starred Elizabeth Olsen, HBO show. had a role in that. He was on Legacies. I mentioned the morning show. He's on the L World, the L Word, played Gerald, I think. Why Women Kill, he was a police officer on. And I love that show. Ran a couple seasons, and I think it was by the Mark Cherry that did Desperate Housewives. I may have that wrong, but really good show. For All Mankind, we mentioned This Is Us, he mentioned. And the one that I think I left out was Shameless. He had an appearance on there. So just really talented guy, and he's doing a bunch quickly. So he's getting up to speed quick. Long Bright River is the newest one. If you're finding us for the first time and you enjoyed this, we're so happy that you're here and love to have your support long term. Easy to do. It's free. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. Please subscribe. We could really use the help. It's free, but we kind of take those subscriptions and it helps us to keep bringing these terrific guests on. Our website is meistercon.com. Right now, you can find about 950 episodes, audio and video versions. It'll let you know if we're doing anything in studio, going on location, covering a convention, anything we have going on, be on the website, meistercon.com. Thank you guys so much. Till next time. Bye, everybody.